and welcome to an early edition of Behind the Mask for us here. We're actually doing this early in the morning, which is abnormal for us. We're normally doing this
late at night,
because I'm usually up till who knows what time. But here we are. It's Eugene, as always, with Dennis.
I jumped in. Oh man, why you gotta make me talk? I just finished eating my eggs. I'm like all phlegmy and froggy. How's it going, guys?
We don't need to know the phlegmy and froggy part. Okay,
hey, everybody needs to know.
But it's great. I'm happy to be here. It's again, here we are we're gonna have another special guest on.
Yeah.
Post World Cup, so we could hear their experience also, and just find out who our guest is. And we're really excited to have our guest on. I don't want to give too much away just yet until we bring our guest on. But as always, we want to say officially sponsored by Ghost Energy Drink.
Ghost Energy.
Bright and early in the morning.
Got to live that ghost lifestyle.
Gonna be wired until who knows what time. It's great. Oh, I love it. But it is a great drink, so have to throw that on there. 0 sugar,
0 crash, all natural ingredients, no artificial colors. It's great.
It doesn't give Dennis bubble guts. So hey, it works out great. And I got a new mic, so I wanted to show that off. If you guys could see the back of it, which with me not turning it off accidentally because I've already done that, but it's a Rocat. And so far it's pretty good. I like it. It's cool. It lights up. It's got this like cool thing. If I wave my hand underneath, it'll shut it off. So if I don't want to wave my hand underneath that, so we'll leave that alone. But he's not in his scrub, so we're not going to mention the other one. So leave that alone. So, but it's great to be here. Great to be on. We've had a couple great interviews or podcasts prior to this, which was awesome as always, having on Niles and the guys from Texas Cyclones.
So always talk with those guys.
Yeah. And if you guys haven't watched that one, give it a look.
Yeah, please
check it out. And follow them on Instagram and show them their love and everything, because those guys are awesome guys. They're great. So enough of me jabbering on and on, because I know you guys don't want to hear just me talking. We want to bring on our guest, and this person, a friend of mine brought her to our attention. She went onto her Instagram, checked out everything about her. Yes, we did do our research, and she's awesome, really. So we want to bring her in
again. What was that?
Said
way to make us look like creeps again.
I know, but we have to do our research, right?
I know. Come on. I know. I'm just kidding.
Also, we're going to find out who this person is and what they do and what they like to eat. And no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But all right. So enough of this. We're going to bring her in. So we are bringing in Amber Wong. Let's get that unmuted. And Amber, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome. So this is our first truly international episode. Amber, you're coming to us from Spain, is that correct?
Yes and no. I'm actually Malaysian. I
know
Malaysia.
that.
Oh, you know that? Okay.
But I mean, you're in Spain.
I am in Spain. I'm in Barcelona.
Yeah, okay.
So wait, that's actually twofold as far as international.
That's true. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to point out.
There we go. We're expanding our horizons. We've now moved away from just Texas and California to Barcelona. So
yeah,
of good states. I'm just saying.
So Amber, we want to know everything that there is about Amber. So let's start at the beginning. So Amber was born, and then here we are. So
I like how you just summed up my life.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
It's just like she was born and here we are.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Where do I start?
No, really.
Let's start.
Let's start with, how did you get to where you're at as far as in Spain? Because you said you're Malaysian, correct?
I am.
You were born in Malaysia?
I was born in Malaysia, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, I've been in paintball for about 12 years.
Okay.
There was a point where I kind of was half out, half in. because you never really leave paintball.
But that's true. That's true. I mean, 15-year hiatus of playing, and I'm now back in the sport. So
Exactly. So at some point, I was still working in tournaments, but I owned a coffee bar. And when I closed the coffee bar, I decided it was time for a new chapter of my life. And I moved to Spain.
Wow.
So it was just spur of the moment. I think I'm going to do some international traveling, and you just happen to land where you are.
Well, yes. Well, also my partner was Spanish. Is Spanish.
Okay.
So boom, there we go. That's how.
Okay. So it helps to have, yeah.
So wow, you owned a coffee bar. That's pretty awesome.
I did. I owned it back in Malaysia. It was, and that's why I really like my coffee. And every single tournament I go to now, I want to shout out to Ninja Paintball for always supplying me with coffee at every tournament that I go to. Everybody else is giving me coffee. Thank you very much. It's a huge part of my life. So yeah, I did own a coffee bar.
Well, like I actually in recent years have started to love coffee. I never really loved it before. Never had a taste for it. I don't know why. It was just, but starting to work nights where I'm at, I needed something to get me going other than just the energy drinks. So I started getting into coffee also. And I tried different brands, and there's a lot of garbage out there, and it tastes like burnt beans.
So much.
Oh, and all these new like little brands that are popping up, trying to be like, oh, we're gourmet or we're this, and there's Starbucks. Starbucks. No. If anybody from Starbucks is listening, you guys are nasty. No.
Well, see, that's what happens when you take coffee beans and you throw them onto a barbecue. I mean, yeah.
But that's why Starbucks has so much sugar and cream in it.
Right, because the coffee's too bitter.
So it's like coffee flavored, like dessert.
Yes, that's really what it is.
Yeah,
with just some caffeine in it, and it's just
exactly.
And pumpkin spice. We can't forget the pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
But no, I personally hate that stuff. So.
But I love
it. I did find a coffee that I actually like, which was Black Rifle coffee.
Yeah, Black Rifle.
I love that stuff. That stuff is actually in all the different flavors that they have, and yeah, they feel.
I tried it. Even the bag smells good.
Yes. You open that up and you're like, oh.
Yes, I'm so glad you've converted to the cult of coffee.
Well, I mean, no, wait, we can't now. I still drink this stuff, guys. I do. Really, I promise. I'm drinking it right now.
Ghost Energy, he still loves you. He still supports you. He just drinks coffee once in a while.
Yeah.
Yes. At night, I definitely got to have the coffee because it also gets really cold where I work. And so I need something to warm me up.
Yeah. I feel like I'm the outsider here because I'm actually more of a tea drinker. I drink a lot of like black teas. I love Thai tea. It's amazing. But
Amber, I could mute him and block him out if you'd like now.
No, I mean, that kind of draws into something that reminds me of something. Actually, at Cup, there was a vendor who did like a Thai tea coffee sort of thing. It was like kind of an interesting mix, like a Thai coffee with condensed milk. So that was really nice. There were actually other coffee options at this event, at this Cup, and I was impressed by that.
Okay, so I have a quick question then, and I promise we'll get back to the more important things, but so
go for it.
Coffee in Malaysia, I've kind of noticed that like coffee regionally is very different in the way it's prepared, the way it's served, and things like that. One of the best coffees that I've ever had was the Vietnamese style with the little demi-tasse on the top, and but it's extremely thick. When they serve it to you, the cream is on the bottom, the coffee is on top, and it does not mix until you mix it yourself. So what is coffee like in Malaysia? Is it very similar? Do you guys like it that real bold, strong, or is it more mellow?
Actually, that is an interesting question. I'll tell you why. Malaysia produces coffee. And we actually have a local way of roasting the coffee where we roast it with sugar and butter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's roasted with sugar and butter. It has a very distinct flavor to it, and it's only done with a filter. Okay, so and traditionally they have a cloth filter, a cotton cloth filter that has a metal frame. You put the coffee in it, you brew it in this cloth filter, and then you just kind of filter it out. So it's different because we have our own coffee culture. But I will say that a lot of the new espresso and everything, it's been coming into Malaysia for some time. So we do have what we call third wave coffee in Malaysia. But that being said, we still stick a lot to our traditional roots. I still remember as I grew up, my dad used to get local coffee, and there's a sort of little pastry that we have that we dip into coffee, and that's one of my best memories from childhood, let's say. So I guess coffee in Malaysia would be different just for that. We also, I think in recent years they've been trying to cut down on the sugar, but they used to sugar it up and put condensed milk and everything, kind of like the Vietnamese, a lot. But of course, now with the trends going towards being more healthy and reducing sugar, people are drinking a lot more black.
Okay. So definitely not the way us, bastard Americans are drinking our coffee. We're like, let's put as much cream and sugar in there, and then I'll put like a couple of drops of coffee in there to change the color,
Yeah. I'll be honest. I mean, I love the taste of Black Rifle. My favorite right now is a Flying Elk, which has a hint of like chocolate, like cocoa flavor to it. It's in there. You could taste it. And if any of the guys are listening, Matt or Evan, if, you guys probably won't even hear this, but I actually just tried taking what's called abuelita chocolate, which is like this. Yeah, it's a Mexican chocolate.
Okay.
And I poured it in there to give it like a mocha feel to it. And oh my God, the taste of it is like, it's so good because the Mexican chocolate, that type of chocolate has a little hint of cinnamon in it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all these mixtures going in, and it's just like, it's so good.
I sounds amazing.
It. Yeah, I bastardized
love cinnamon.
it.
I love chocolate. Oh.
You know what?
You should
I will send you some of that
Mexican hot chocolate.
Yes, please do that.
I will send you a box of that stuff because that stuff is so good alone, and then to put it in the coffee. Okay, well, all right. That has been Coffee Talk with Amber Wong. Thank you.
It's coffee talk.
For a cup, I actually bought a little coffee machine for our booth. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, I was just like, you know what? I'm not paying like $4 a coffee every single day, like a couple of times. So I just bought like a little coffee machine, and it was there. And I'm spreading the love.
Bring your own stash from home,
Exactly. But I didn't have this Mexican chocolate.
Yeah.
Steam.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. We need to get some of that out to you. It's amazing stuff. Especially
I would love that.
On a cold morning. Perfect.
It's so good.
That sounds like heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But okay, let's move on to the important stuff. All right. So
you brought up Amber. Coffee is important.
I know. I'm sorry. Coffee is important to Amber. It's going to be flashing up under you. Coffee is important. You're going to probably end up.
Sorry, no, especially at like 9 a.m. Thank you guys for having me on so early for you.
No, again, it's really not early. Eugene and I both are usually awake.
Yeah, unfortunately.
At 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning most days anyway. So
and then there's the days where I'm just barely getting off of work at 7. So
yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
But all right, so let's move on to some paintball talk, because you did mention that you started playing paintball. So when did you start playing paintball?
I started playing paintball in 2009.
Okay.
It's very interesting because sometimes people swear I've been in the industry longer, but no.
I was actually going to say, I, for some reason, had it in my mind that you had been around for quite some time. Not that 2009 is not some time ago, but I could have sworn that you had been in the sport prior to that. I mean, when Eugene and I were still playing on a team together, when we co-captained our team, I just, for some reason, I'm thinking like, I've seen her name even back in 2002, 2003, going that far back. So I don't know.
That's what I mean. I don't know where that comes from, but
you know what?
Amber,
and
you've been around forever. That just run with it. Just go with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've been around
you're
forever.
a living legend.
and I will say this much, and I apologize. It has nothing to do with either yourself or her, but I was talking with a friend of mine who actually he used to play on the early version of Avalanche before they really became well known. He knows a lot of the old pro guys and stuff like that. And so I was talking with him about the podcast. I'm trying to get him to come on, telling him that you're going to be on. He goes, "Oh yeah, I remember her. She used to play with Femme Fatales and stuff like that." I was like, no, you're thinking of Kat Gong, not Amber Wong. So maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I've only ever played with my own team, never with any other team. So this is an interesting development. I'm in teams I didn't even know I was in.
Oh my gosh. This is funny. This reminds me of, it's an old 80s video, which was it was a skateboard video. It was it was by a team called Paul Peralta, which they were my absolute favorite. And it was called The Search for Animal Chin. And it was about an ancient skateboarder that they said everybody swears they've seen him and he's been around forever. And they go on a search for him, going and finding like special ramps and all this other stuff. But they always go to like one place. Oh yeah, I remember that dude. I skated with him back in the day. But nobody has ever really seen him.
Nobody's ever actually seen him. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's me. This is where I redact all my pictures, just kind of blur out my face.
No, it's just the date. Just redact the date and just and we'll start putting it out. She's been around forever. I'll put you in pictures of like back in the 80s and in the woods, and you're just like, oh,
stare.
Yeah. Photoshop you in, and then all of a sudden it's like a whole thing. Everybody's gonna be like, she's been around since like the 80s. It's like, she's not even that old. Well, she was there. I swear.
I'll give you like a kid picture of me and you can just put me there.
Oh my God, we got to do that. All right, that's it. We're going to do this, Amber.
Be careful what you offer him.
Oh, I will run with it.
No, it was funny because I've done tournaments everywhere and all these. I think I was in Thailand once, and some of the Thai old school, the OG guys, and they're like, Amber, yeah, that team, back then. I'm like, no. And they're like, no, you remember Amber, you were around. I'm like, no, bro. Even in Thailand, I was just like, no.
Oh, but we are. Oh my gosh, the legend of Amber Wong.
I don't know
cryptid. You're a cryptid, Amber. You're an urban myth come to life.
I don't even know how. I don't have a common name.
Well, I mean, here in Southern California, at least where I grew up in Southern California, there's probably lots of Amber Wongs. But I grew up in an area where it's primarily Chinese and Korean. So
that's fair.
Yeah,
sorry.
Oh no. So paintball, you go ahead. Your story.
No, that was it.
That was it. So there we go. Amber was born, paintball, and here we are.
No, okay. So I played. I came in 2009. A friend of mine. Before I played paintball, I played professional foosball.
Oh, now, like, all joking aside, that is like, I've seen some people get heated playing that.
Yeah,
like, I'm not even kidding. Yeah.
Eugene's got the face like, what?
No, I know foosball, but I didn't even know there was like a professional league.
There are professional leagues. I've gone to Japan to play. Did not win. but
Did not win.
not win. But yeah, and we had international players from Dubai and everything, Japan, Australia, UK come down and play in international leagues in Malaysia. And so one of my friends who had gone on into paintball, he called me and he said, "Hey, you know what? I am putting together an all-female team for somebody who says he wants to sponsor an all-female team, and I thought about you, and I said, I've never played paintball in my life. And he goes, that's okay. And I'm like, how is this okay? This guy wants to sponsor a team, right? Doesn't he need people who know what they're doing out there? And he goes, yeah. And the girls need to have 1 year of tournament experience. I'm like, bro, where we at, bro?
Yeah.
I think there's a disconnect here. He goes, no, but I've seen you in competitive sports. I know you're fine. I'm like, okay. Let me think about this. Let me find out more about paintball. Because obviously back then I did not know that there was such a big scene. You know, like everybody else, I thought that paintball was just the weekend warrior style. You go in, you wear your terrible looking onesie. You know, you put on your smelly mask and you just shoot people. It still is that for the weekend.
For some people, true. For some people, sure.
But it so happens also, I don't know whether it was a coincidence. Another friend of mine was in a professional Division 1 team in Malaysia. So I said, hey, I know you're playing paintball. We knew each other from college. And I said, can I just come and watch? He says, yeah, sure. So I went for one of their practices and I got excited. So I was like, wow, what is this? But I also looked at them shooting E-markers and I said, whoa, I don't know if I'm ready to join an all-female team doing that just yet, you know? I was like, maybe the level of disconnect's not right. And then, and I went in. I started training, well, not really training, well, started helping out that team. I built my own team, which ended up being Division 3. And then we trained with this Division 1 team, and then we went into tournaments, and that was super fun. But what happens also is I started working with the tournaments, at first just in a graphic design capacity. And then I started, they realized I could do stuff. So they started making me do more stuff. And then at some point they realized that I could do a lot of stuff. So I became one of the head organizers. But the problem with that is that it's hard to organize and play at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Because let's say I'm trying to run my team, and then, people are coming to me with problems. Mm-hmm. And after a while, I want to focus and I can't focus. My focus is scattered. It's very difficult to work a tournament and play at the same time. So
it starts to kind of present a little bit of like a conflict of interest as well. I would imagine a lot of people are probably going to be like, well, your team's going to get favored because you're organizing a whole event. It's that type. Who needs that kind of drama, especially when you're out there just trying to have a good time? I mean, at the root of paintball, at the end of the day, you should be able to walk off the field and everybody's laughing and talking about, their experiences on the field. And so who needs that kind of a drama? So I totally understand where you're coming from. And just that's more stress than anybody needs in their life.
Exactly. And I think I had played tournaments for a total of like 4 or 5 years. And there was like a 1 or 2 year overlap where I really tried to make it work. I thanks to that, to be fair, I did get some good connections and deals for my team. But I think at the end of the day, if you're not there with your team, you know, if you're constantly running off and doing stuff, I didn't feel it was fair to the team either. You know, they need a captain who's there, who's organizing stuff, who's keeping her head in the game. And, you know, if you can't do that, then you have to either, you have to give something up at some point. Plus, on top of all that, I was also, I created the first ever print paintball magazine in Asia.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
It's called Ramped. Yeah. But I think we didn't get past, I think I was too ambitious with it. So on top of everything, you know, it was difficult. And print costs, I wanted to do a 100-page magazine monthly. And I was not prepared for the amount of work that goes into that.
You know, that always seems how it goes. It's like, we're like, man, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. And then it's like, this thing starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden we're like, I can't do all this. This is just too much.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know the feeling. I do it all the time.
Yeah. And at the time, I would imagine, I mean, obviously you may have kind of had your focus on the Asian market, you know, within, you know, regional, but you still had magazines like Faceful, PB2 Extreme, you know, these larger mags, especially Faceful, where they were, you know, glossy covers and super, you know, high quality action photos and stuff like that. So that type of competition, I think, is probably also very daunting because you want to be able to put out a product that's on par, you know?
Yes and no. We actually collaborated with Faceful for a bit. I've written for Faceful. I've done coverage of Asian tournaments for Faceful back in, I can't remember, 2010, 2011, maybe. Back when, what's his name? He's going to kill me for forgetting his name. Romain was the editor. So yeah, that's the beautiful thing. I mean, I personally believe more in working with collaborations rather than seeing them as purely competition and you know, and I think this because I believe that if you look hard enough, there's always a spot for somebody. It's just a question of whether it's a spot they want. And for Faceful wasn't really covering Asia that much. They were covering a lot of the US, a lot of Europe, the occasional article maybe from me or some others, but you know, Asia was just like a tiny blip on their market.
Yeah.
So but here I felt there was enough going on. Well, not here, Asia. In Asia, I felt there was enough going on that there could be a magazine for it. And there was, but also at the same time, like I said, I think I bit off more than I could chew at that time. One of my I could see the impact it had on people. One of my happiest stories was very small regional league in Malaysia. They had, one of the teams had won, and I said, hey, you know what? Come, let's take a picture. Let's put you in. And I printed them in the magazine. And I also had articles on how to get sponsors, that sort of thing. And they had taken it to heart. And they showed it to some, we call them datoks. Datoks are kind of like, maybe like lords sort of thing, right? So someone influential. And they showed it to this guy. And this guy said, hey, you know what? You guys are doing well. I'm going to sponsor your entry into the next league. And yeah, it was a really teeny weeny thing. But they got something out of it. And they came back to me and they said, Amber, you know, thank you for printing our face in a magazine. You know, we never ever thought that would happen. It was something they could physically show. We don't really do that anymore so much now, I think. Most of the magazines have gone digital, which is nice, but at the same time, I think there's always a charm to something that you can hold in your hands, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Flip, that you can kind of give out to people. I know people who keep a stack of magazines. One of my friends got featured on Facebook's cover, and he just bought like, I don't know,
Bought
50.
every copy he could get his hands on. Yeah. I would. I know I would.
Well, I did it too back in the day. I was in Paintball to Extreme. Actually,
cool.
there was an article on our company that I had back then, which was Sunday Clothing.
Mhm.
And they did a full, I think it was like a 3-page spread of us. And
Okay.
it had each one of us, each partner, and it had a little story about us. And then it went on about a whole article about us. So yeah, I get that whole, like, I bought, like, I don't even know how many I bought. And now I don't even know where they're at, but it would have been cool to keep them. But,
I know. I completely agree. I think it's a difficult thing that maybe, I don't know. I don't have any concrete things for this, but if we could just find a way to make paintball more mainstream, maybe we could bring things like these back. I think one of the biggest problems that we have still, and like 12 years later, for me, is that paintball is still a very niche sport.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no, because at one point we were featured on ESPN. That was something that was definitely big for paintball. And not only was it featured in like the 2000s, but if you go a little further back into the the late 90s going into the 2000s, they were trying to get paintball into the mainstream. ESPN showed us then, and then was showing us some more later on when the pros were starting to become big and all this other stuff. But the powers that be, all the big wigs, all the good old boys, were the ones that didn't want to conform to be able to get this to where it should be. Because I honestly think that we could have been something huge at this point now. Because, you're talking 2009, 2010 for you. Fast forward to now, 10 years, 11 years, 12 years later, we could have actually had this on ESPN. We could have kept this going on G4 and kept G4 going, period.
Well,
So,
and even that kind of, dovetails into a topic that Eugene and I have mentioned numerous times in the past on the show, in that the events are very limited in their scope. The NXL is really the only game in town anymore. The NPPL is gone. PSP, basically turned into the NXL. But if you were to ask us, like Eugene and I played numerous Huntington Beach events, that's what we would love to see paintball go back to. I mean, that was huge. And it was in a place where foot traffic was heavy. People who were not exposed to the sport were seeing it happening right in front of them. And they were getting an idea of exactly what encompasses playing this sport. It's not like you said, the guys who put on their stinky camo onesies and go crawl around in the bushes and shoot their friends. There's so much more to it. And, if we could see a return to that type of thing, I mean, that'd be amazing. Quick disclaimer in that our opinions do not reflect the opinions of anybody who's on this show or anybody who might know us or anything like that. But, we're pretty vocal in the fact that we feel like the NXL is not doing a good job of exactly that, of presenting the sport in such a way that it draws people who have never had contact with it before. When you're at the event itself, it might look cool, but they're being fielded out in the middle of nowhere. We have heard from various players who have been there that there's practically zero vendor presence, and the ones that are there are literally just given a tiny little postage stamp, room to set up a pop-up basically. And it's just not ideal, especially for as much money as the NXL is. Their revenue is at least from our understanding is significant. the entry fees, various things like that. This money's got to be going somewhere, and it doesn't seem like they're sinking it back into the organization as much as they should. So
hearing about that story that you did, as far as, that little team getting that sponsor from just that article, is something that, like, what we are trying to do too. We're going to be bringing on a person from a team that's nobody knows about, but we want to feature the little guys because, we don't have print anymore really to be able to do this, but we have all this digital stuff, all the digital media that we could put out there. And, 9 times out of 10, everyone's like, hey, look at me, I'm on whatever on their phone, and that's what we want to do too, is be able to bring attention to the smaller teams.
Okay. I was an organizer for World Cup Asia back in the day. Are you guys familiar with that tournament?
Yeah, I remember hearing about it. Yeah.
Okay, so World Cup Asia was held in Langkawi in Malaysia. It's an island, a duty-free island. So we actually got a lot of international guys, and I think some of them were actually reminiscing about it at Cup.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they were. We got a lot of Americans. We had, who did we have? Oliver Lang come down, Tim Montresor, Bert Gidio, Ryan Greenspan, Jerry, I can never pronounce his last name. Jerry Divra. Well, you guys know who I'm talking about.
I think so.
Yeah.
We'll put his name up right now.
Yeah. But so back in the day, what happens is we'd actually made it a relatively commercial success to the point where people in Asia no longer heard pinball when we said paintball. Okay. Here in the US, it was funny because I thought people would think pinball, but no, they thought ping pong. I was like, how do you even get this? How do you get ping pong?
three different things all being confused for each other. Paintball, pinball, and ping pong.
Yeah, I thought they would say pinball, and then some of the paintballers told me, no, you're going to hear, they're going to think ping pong. And they really did. I was talking to a lady in Cracker Barrel, and I said, yeah, paintball. She's like, oh, ping pong? I'm like, no. No, lady. I'm sorry, Cracker Barrel lady. It's not ping pong. But so what we did is actually we teamed up with I don't know whether this is something that's even viable in the US. It was what we did in Asia. We actually had teamed up with a commercial company to take it to sponsors outside of the industry. Because one of the things that paintball tends to do is focus a lot inside the industry, advertising within the industry. So this is what we did for outside the industry. We teamed up with an events management company. They arranged so that we would advertise beyond. So we had Air Asia come in, which is an airline, and we actually had an advertisement together with a watch company in print in their in-flight magazine. We had billboards all over the island. Team Destiny came down, and I was head of media also for the event. So we did radio interviews, TV interviews, everything, just to kind of make noise out there. And but see, the thing is, that noise brings in commercial sponsors.
Yes.
Which funds more noise, which draws more commercial noises, but commercial sponsors. But that's the thing. I think someone needs to set this in motion in order for that cycle to start in parallel with the industry. And I'm not sure if anyone, no shade on the NXL, but I think they've got their hands full just getting the event running and in gear and finding all that. That is a lot of work, which is why the same thing, PALS was the organization that I worked for. PALS just ran that, and a sister company did the outside industry stuff.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's a model that could be brought to the States on a much bigger scale, for example, that would bring the boost that's needed. But of course, it's sounds easy, but it is a lot of work to find a sister company. Blah 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 blah.
Well, with the amount of companies that are here in the U.S., with the amount of like whether it be like these small companies that are looking to get their name out there, or huge companies that are just looking for something else to invade and take over. Because imagine this: imagine having a tournament like an NXL tournament, but it's sponsored by Amazon. Do you imagine how much? Can you imagine how much money we would have and how much attention we would get? So it's just a matter of, like you said, somebody finally taking it on and doing it to get that attention.
Yeah, because the problem is, I think most of the time, and this applies within the industry as much as it does outside the industry. It has to be a two-way thing. Sponsors need to give us stuff, but we need to also provide the sponsor with the value for what they're giving us.
Yeah, a return on the investment. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like I work for Anthrax. I don't think we've gotten there yet, but I work for Anthrax Paintball.
We're moving to it. We're getting there. Oh wait, here's our segue. She works for Anthrax Paintball. There we go. Let's move on.
But of course, so that means that I get teams that come to me all the time asking for sponsorship, as any company in paintball would. But it's the same thing. So if I don't immediately see value in what a team's going to give me, for example, the team's already well known. The team has a lot of social media. I know who they are. Other teams look up to them, for example. Like we sponsor Impact and Damage, and that's an easy sell. So then I have to ask them, like, okay, so what do you think you can bring to the table? And this is something that I feel a lot of wait. Okay, if you have a sponsor, is sponsee?
Yeah, that works.
Well, sure, whatever.
Sponsee. Well,
the person you're sponsoring.
Exactly. So the one who's being sponsored.
Yes.
A mouthful. Okay, the ones who are being sponsored also need to provide that same value. And the thing is, like, if we're talking serious money from, say, Amazon, we need to provide some serious value.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it wouldn't be what we consider value. It'd be what they consider value. We can say, hey, you know what? I'm going to put Amazon all over the banners, but Amazon's going to ask at the end of the day, how many people are going to see this? You know, what can you bring to the table? So it's the same thing that we ask teams, but on a much, much larger scale.
Yeah. And we actually had something like that at one point during the heyday of the NPPL and the PSP. I mean, Dynasty had Intel on their jerseys. You know, granted, this is Dynasty. This is probably the biggest name in paintball in terms of the teams. You know, this was at their height of their success. Yes. But
even though they just won Cup this year, it was still at their peak back then.
It was at their peak. It was when they were at their strongest. I mean, you know, Johnny Perchak was still playing with them. Todd Martinez was with them, you know, and they were untouchable at the time, but they had Intel. Intel, literally, if you have a computer, you probably have something made by Intel in it, you know. There was much more mainstream, again, I don't know how much, like you were saying, I don't know how much sponsorship dollars or anything like that were used, but Monster, Rockstar, and Balls, three of the major energy drink companies of the time, all three of them were involved with the sport at that time. And I mean, I'll openly admit, I don't know what happened behind the scenes that caused the decline of everything. I don't know if it was just the competition between the two leagues got to a point where, you know, somebody said, well, I now have enough money to basically buy you out and then just phase you out. I don't know. But at one point, we had a very similar situation like what you were talking about, with major companies outside of the industry investing time, money, what have you, into the sport to try and grow it. And we've gone away from that. And I don't, I'm not gonna position myself as some sort of, business guru or anything like that, because I'm not. But it's unfortunate because
see, I read Forbes, and I'm like up there. No, I don't even like Forbes. So, anyways, yeah. All right. So, vendors, Anthrax. How did you? So let's go back to Anthrax, so we can start with that before we move into how Cup was for you.
Okay.
So how did you get started with Anthrax? Which I did. I've looked at their stuff, and their stuff looks amazing.
I'm looking at it right now. Actually, I'm on the website right now, and I'm really, really tempted to put in an order for that Messiah 2K21 jersey. That thing is amazing. The Death from Above. Woo.
Wait a little bit more, because on the 24th at midnight, that's when Black Friday starts.
I'll be asleep, but yes.
No, it goes on.
No,
goes on till you're awake.
And then that bag that you guys are putting out.
Oh, the gear bag.
Yeah, but okay.
And I need a new gear bag. Sorry, Empire, but I need a new gear bag.
Yeah, Empire, you were our sponsors a long time ago. My bag is gone, dead, and buried. I need a new bag too. But anyways, let's get into how did you get started with Anthrax?
Maybe we can send some bags over,
Ooh.
in exchange for a Mexican chocolate and coffee.
We will be talking off mic.
We'll talk later.
Yes.
We'll talk later.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Mexican chocolate I'm gonna have to send.
Hey, I'm willing to make you a shareholder in like Abuela Mexican chocolate. I'm okay.
We don't have any stock in that. Hey, shh. Don't give her stuff we don't have.
Hey, you don't have.
Ooh,
True.
Ooh. The more you know. Okay, so it ties back to when I was working as an organizer for World Cup Asia, because a lot of the big brands came over. We had a big the hall that it was an indoor tournament with 4 fields and way more space, because the hangar, it was an exhibition hall, the Masuri Exhibition Center, and that thing does airplane exhibitions. That's how big that hall is.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So we're talking like 4 NXL fields could fit inside there.
We're talking like 8 NXL fields could fit inside there. We were not using
huge.
We were not using the whole hall.
Wow.
Yeah. So we
did that include vendor space as well, or did you just set up the fields inside there?
Fields, vendor space, and more space. We need
to talk about organizing an event, because anyways, so go on.
But yeah, so that's the thing. Back then we had all the major vendors come down, and Anthrax was one of the vendors that was there. Back then Anthrax has grown a lot over the last few years, I feel. But so back then they came down, they had a booth, and one of my responsibilities on top of everything was helping to organize the vendors a little bit. And I got to know the Anthrax guys. And well, if you ask them, they'll say I was always scolding them, but it's not true. Don't listen to them in that. If they say that, it's a lie.
In all fairness, Amber, you're the only one we talked to from Anthrax, so you could easily say anything.
She schooled those guys. I mean, come on. It's the legendary Amber Wong. She has been around since way back. Forever. We will put up pictures showing where she was in the timeline.
We can just Photoshop you in. It's fine.
Yep.
Oh God, I have a good imagination. This is not going. This is.
Oh,
yeah.
So do I. Oh my gosh, Amber, you will be everywhere.
Dean, we need to pull up some of our old photos from Huntington Beach and just have her like in the stands or something.
No, she will be bunkering Ollie Lang. She will be bunkering we'll even go further back and popping out in the woods in
Oh
the
my
first
gosh.
paintball.
Have her doing a run through on Bob Long when he's just wearing
Oh
the
my
goggles,
gosh.
I love how this is just running away from me now.
Oh, it is. I'm serious. Everybody will start talking about Amber Wong.